Please go to the diary room.
Every single season and learn everything that there is to know about everybody.
Please make your way to the diary room.
Celebrity, Brandon. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Diary Room, a Big Brother podcast where we are working through every player in North American Big Brother history to try to find the best of all time, whatever the heck that ends up meaning. We, of course, eliminate 3 players every episode. We advance 3 players every episode. And then over on Patreon, more stuff goes on to bring some players back, talk about the losers. That's the project, if you happen to be new around here. We have another great guest with us here today. Before I bring him in, though, I am, of course, Matt, joined by Aman. Aman, how's it going?
Yo. Glad to be back in the diary room, talking about these players, getting them out of here, whittling it down, past the halfway mark at this point. Super exciting.
Feels good. We got to get rid of them. They got to keep on moving. We got to get to the big leagues here, and we'll do that at some point.
And
but
we are very
for now,
close to adding 16 more in the next couple of months.
We are Big Brother 27. Not like tomorrow, but close enough. And before we get to that point, again, a great guest with us here today. It's back-to-back Matt weeks here, which I'm not upset about. Matt Scott's joining us today. Matt, how's it going?
Yes, it's good. Some Matt on Matt action. We love to see it. And I'm happy to be here. I feel like I'm such a fan. I listened to like all of your episodes. I missed a few, but I listened to like most of them. And all that time tuning in, I've just been terrified about the day that I come on and completely blank on folks. So happy to finally be here, and maybe in a way to get it over with. We'll see how
it over with. Oh my goodness.
No, I'm stressed. There's so many people to potentially talk about. This feels like, Matt, I've had you on the wrestling wrap up, now the wrestling kickback with Mari, and it feels like for the wrestling fans like a Royal Rumble. Like you're a wrestler, you're in the ring, you don't know who's going to come out next, but every 60 seconds someone's coming in. That's what it feels like, where my adrenaline is at an all-time high podcasting wise. So
right. But instead of having like I don't know, like Michael Cole there to tell you who's about to come out and remind you who this person is, it's you. Me and Aman to hopefully fill in the gaps if you need the gaps filled in.
No, I'm gonna need a lot of gaps filled in, but it'll be fun to talk through everyone. I definitely have. I'll talk more about it, but I did a bit of studying for sure to remind myself of some folks.
There we go. We got to study, Aman.
Yes, we do. I love it. Because that just means more flesh to add to the conversation. I'm excited about it.
Okay, well, set the bar low, set the expectations.
Set your
low,
expectations.
But I'm here. I am here.
So, Matt, let's go back from the beginning. This is a Big Brother history that I don't think I know like the back of my hand. So please fill us in. What is your Big Brother journey from the beginning until now?
Yeah, So I started watching Big Brother and Survivor right around the same time. For Survivor, it was the Cook Island season because I was like, ooh, like race wars. Let's see how that goes. Like me as a teen, just being so curious about the controversy. And then right around that same time was Big Brother All-Stars. So I was watching CBS a bit. I swear I saw Chicken George on my TV, and I was so confused that I had to tune in. And so kind of strange, I guess, to enter through an All-Stars, but as that, like, such a great season. I loved it and fell in love and haven't missed Big Brother ever since. So I am someone who I feel like for all of my reality TV watching, I'm more about the vibes. I'm more about the personalities, like who is this person than the strategy of all of it. So we'll have some interesting conversations today. But no, I've been on board through for better and for worse with Big Brother, right?
And I'm sure plenty of people that are showing up here, have heard a lot of your work over on RHAP, specifically with like the Pod Friends series. Remind me, have we had any whether big, I don't know, any names at all from the Big Brother universe on the show?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. And honestly, I'll feel so bad if I forgot someone because it just
you.
crossed my mind. No, it's all good. The one person who I've had on from Big Brother, I swear I'm forgetting someone else. But Azza was on. And I love Azza. I am like I've been manifesting. If I had crystals, like I'm not a crystal person, not a crystal girly, but like if I had crystals, I'd be asked. I don't know what manifesting, asking for.
Sure.
I don't know how that works,
Yeah,
but
manifest.
I want Azza to come up somehow on this podcast. Like for
I
me,
see her
that would
name. You
be.
can't see the wheel yet, but I see her name. It's swirling right
Oh,
between Joshua from BB9 and Lane from Big Brother 12.
oh my
She's
gosh,
the only
tight
cookout member to not
squeeze.
come up yet.
I hope she
Oh.
does come up so that I can use that as an excuse to pop back up in her DMs and the show.
I was
Like,
gonna
hey.
say, yeah, I was gonna, and this actually brings up something else because Ozza's in the DC area. Like I feel like I just being in this community have encountered different Big Brother players along the way, and so there's just some stuff beyond the game that I think colors my perception. Like Ozza, to me, finalist, like she should win this whole thing. So. Um, for better for worse, I hope that she comes up and let's see how far she goes. But yeah, it's been I haven't had too many Big Brother people on, so open
Okay.
to any recommendations.
Maybe by the end of this episode, we'll do some kind of ranking of the 6 names that come up, either the most likely that we can get over there, or
Yeah.
I don't know, just the most desired, and hope that none of them hear it if they end up not at the top of that list. But we'll
Yeah.
see. You never
One of
know,
them
like
will
you
be on
said.
Pod Friends, basically. That's my commitment for one
Right.
of the 6 people who comes up.
Yes, and we'll say we gave you the highest of praise, even if maybe we didn't. And again, we'll just say they hope they never hear this, but we're usually as nice as we possibly can be, depending. But anyway, I don't know what else. Anything else Amon lately going on in the BB universe that we haven't brought up lately? I don't think a whole.
Not really. I did actually start watching a little bit of the latest All-Star season of the challenge, just so that I can understand what's
Oh,
going on
yeah.
with Devon. I have not caught up by any means, but I did start.
Okay.
Well,
No spoilers.
I will say, no spoilers, certainly, but the season has come to an end by this recording. It has certainly come to an end by the time that you're all hearing this. So we'll see, how that rest of your journey goes, and maybe we'll update more either on future episodes or on the Patreon. But just always fun to see Devon pop up on any show. I will tell you, she has since declared retirement again after the season has come to an end.
Yep. I was gonna
I'll
say
believe it when I see you actually in a retirement home. Okay.
oh gosh.
So, we'll see about that. But I don't know. Celebrity, I think, Celebrity Big Brother UK is happening. Obviously, that's not like a realm that we enter a whole lot. So I know that's going on. About a week or two ago, as of this recording, the Amazing Race Big Brother season wrapped up filming, and a variety of information leaks out there for those who care
I've
to
been
partake.
completely spoiled.
Well,
oh no.
Well,
yeah.
we'll keep that off the podcast as far as anything else in detail. But yeah, not a whole lot of other Big Brother news, Matt. I mean, the summer is coming up quicker than we think, so we'll be ready for BB27 in no time.
Yeah, I know. I always feel like, and this is one of the things for me about Big Brother, like there are some seasons that, like, I'll give a Greg's Taylor Hale. We saw her win, but that was such a painful journey along the way. So I have a number of seasons that I just want to like extinct from my memory for a variety of reasons, and mostly problematic people. So I have my fingers crossed that this is going to be a good one. But
Would you
Big
say you
Brother
have
throws
a
curveballs.
Would you say you have a favorite season?
You know what? I would say, and you probably hear this a lot, but I really love Big Brother 8. And I don't know why. It's like the right mix of messiness, there's strategy coming up, just fun characters. I love Jen Johnson so much, and
Queen.
Wamber and the like. And so Jamaica, of course, like along the way. So I mean, I really love Big Brother 8. Other than that, it's 10 is fun. Everyone loves 10. Like I do love the Big Brother celebrity seasons though, because they're just so messy, and it's fun to see the people who are there but then clearly don't want to be there weeded out, and just to see like the drama that comes up. Actually, if I had to pick, like if you asked me to just choose a favorite winner, I'm gonna go with the controversial pick of Tamar. In that spot, I just loved the mess of
You
that
think
season.
Tamar as a favorite winner is a controversial pick?
I think it's
Not
the
around here.
controversial pick for diehards, but everyone loves
like
her,
you mean like overall, including civilian seasons?
including civilian seasons.
That was
I
one of the
will
most
pick
elated nights
Tamar.
of Big Brother watching in my life.
I was tap dancing just like Tamar, so I'm down for that. No, that was beautiful. I think first black person or first black woman to win the game at that point. I can't remember the
yes,
chronology, but
person, I think.
Like person.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was shocking.
Yeah.
So beautiful time. But yeah, the low-key favorite season, even though it lasted like 10 to 12 episodes.
Gotta get slight spoilers for this
Oh.
season of Gotta Get Out. For anybody who may be watching or maybe considering watching, by the time this episode comes out, it'll be out for at least, I think, 3 weeks or so. So if you haven't watched it and planned on and you want to skip ahead, feel free. But I will say there is a certain player from one of the celebrity seasons of Big Brother that did a complete 180 as far and Gotta Get Out is a completely different show than Big Brother. But as far as like my takeaway of this player and their success on Big Brother to what happened for them on Gotta Get Out and impressiveness over there, it's going to be a fun conversation. Amon, am I free to say things? I don't think you've watched
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
I
are
don't know
we?
what.
Oh no, I've watched it and I completely agree. That show, by the way, Gotta Get Out, is a bizarre one to watch format wise and structured wise. And then even hearing from Mike Bloom in some of his coverage that they completely cut out like all of the challenges that happen, which you don't even feel like you need when you're taking. It's great, but yes, this player who shall not be named.
I mean,
guess
when she
there's
comes up,
only one. Yeah,
it's gonna have to be
if and
talked
when.
about.
Yeah, I guess it'll happen eventually. Maybe today. Maybe today. So
It definitely
we'll see
could
if we
be.
get there.
Yeah, with the wheel that we have today, as we keep getting deeper into the round, the wheels just get smaller and smaller because we're running out of players in the round. We're not actually, because we're only halfway through, but it starts to feel like it. So
Yeah.
that's about it. Anybody else have any final thoughts before we pull up the wheel and see who we're gonna send packing today?
Well, just a question, and maybe this has come up. How long before the first round is done?
Well, it took us what, about
It's been almost
8
a year.
months. So we got another 8 months to go, I guess.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know we're past the halfway mark. Oof.
Yeah. It's going to be most likely, I think, early 2026 when the round comes to an end. But also, I don't remember if that math includes BB27 jumping into the mix at some point or another. So,
but they won't add
that'll be
too much. It's just 16 more people. So
yeah,
if anything,
it's a couple
it'll
of
be like, what, 2 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, well, right now it's we're recording this in April of 2025, and if we're looking at the round coming to an end in any of the early months next year, we're still a year away. So plenty of time to go. But yeah, let me get the wheel set up here.
Let's go.
And we got a lot to get into today as we pull 6 more players.
Let her rip, baby. Let her rip.
Yeah.
Are we ready? We're ready.
Ready.
Oz is here. Big Brother 8's here.
Come on,
Ozza. Only one way to begin the process, and that's by spinning the wheel and seeing where we go first. With Matt Scott today. And the first player up of the day. Oh, this is fun.
Oh, wait.
That was going to be fun either way. We landed on Big Brother 23's Derek X. The player right next to him was Devin Shepard. Both fun conversations.
Yeah.
It's a potent mixture right there.
But we're going to get things started with DX.
Yes, DX. All right, Derek. Hope to lay low. However, he immediately got onto the radar of first HOH Frenchie. He became part of the Royal Flush Alliance and got closer to Hannah and Tiffany. After winning HOH in week 5, Derek decided to make a big move, going for the biggest comp threat in Christian. It was also an interesting week for his relationship with Sarah Beth, with him both nominating her as a pawn. When she edged him out to become HOH 2 weeks later, he was top of mind, the odds against him. Derek made an impassioned plea on eviction night, throwing Sarah Beth under the bus. Derek was evicted by a vote of 5-2. Derek received the second most votes for AFP, losing to Tiffany.
Yeah, doesn't say it on the player graphic here, but a one-time amazing race winner as well. On DX DX's resume a one-time Santa's elf appearance as well on Big Brother
Mhm.
Reindeer Games. So we've seen a good amount of DX, and Matt, it's not the player we were manifesting from Big Brother 23,
It's
but
all good.
it's Derek.
It's all good. They know each other, as Tommy would say, right? Shout out to him. But no, and just pointing it out, we've also seen Derek on the Challenge more recently,
Yes.
or the Challenge USA, whatever version of that was. But I love Derek here because Derek is. Maybe I should just give some background about my prep to like share a little bit more. Like I made a list of all of the players who have not come up.
Oh boy.
And then I attempted to, and it's very like vague, but I attempted to rank them by like, okay, who's like in the top fifth, like who's in the, just basically going from best to worst. And Derek is up there. Like Derek is up there because he obviously had the strategic acumen. He was in so many different alliances or, like attempting to come together with different people along the way. I don't feel like there were shortcomings truly to his game when I think about it. I feel like this was a super strong strategic season, obviously the season of the cookout, blooming, and I at the end of the day, I can't really knock a lot of other people for being doomed along the way. And so that's it's kind of tricky to talk about Derek because while he was in 10th place, like it just felt like to me that season was one where the dominoes were falling one after the other. And they're, as compared with earlier seasons, there aren't true flops along the way.
Yeah, Derek X. I mean, I was a big Derek X fanboy back in
Yeah.
the days of BB23. Because he was just, he was just very likable person. And I think it shows in the way that he was talked about in the house. He had no problems with anybody, and the only reason that he had to go, like so many of his cohorts, is because he was standing in the way of the Cookout's mission and making it to Final Six.
Yeah.
And even then, he was one of the people that led to a little bit of contention within the Cookout about when is the correct time to push him out. And even up until his eviction, there were opposite sides of the cookout being like, yeah, no, he's got to go, and people being like, no, I kind of want to keep him here. And that, like, he was one of the ones that really started to cause a rift, and he was one of those evictions where it was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold it together, because Kyland and Xavier wanted him out because he was a clear physical threat. They could see that he was getting very close with Tiffany. Tiffany obviously wanted to keep him around because she had like a nice thing going with him and Claire. And I remember X and Tiffany sort of getting into it after his eviction. And Tiffany's like, I had to let go of my friend, and you're not letting go of any of your people. Alyssa's still sitting right there. Yet here's DX going out the door, and Xavier's like, well, I thought Claire was your number one. So you're kind of revealing a little bit more to me than your game. So it sounds like he was the best person to push out of the house. So yeah, he just had a really good social game, just all around well liked. I do think, again, like as you said, Matt, like, kind of got booted along the way. He got that 200 BB bucks, which we worked overtime to get for him, and he went home with them in his pocket. But you got to give it to Hannah because she was the one that sort of like, manipulated him into not using them. And yeah, Kyland was the reason why Sarah Beth felt good enough to put him up on the block and get him out. And I thought that Sarah Beth would have been the main person that would have gotten a cookout member out, but I was wrong. They put in overtime and sent his ass packing.
Yeah, in the same way that we Claire actually came up only a handful of episodes ago, if that. In the same way that we talked about, someone like her who just had so much potential, so much good going for her as a player in the game, and even just after the show, we've gotten to see what the mind on Claire is, and Derek too. I mean, on the Amazing Race, winning the Amazing Race involves both, like, all aspects of being able to compete and mental capacity to get through some hard times and tough challenges and whatnot, and a lot of challenges that just require intense brain power. Both of them obviously did very well there, and I think it's mostly universally agreed that I guess on another season, they'd be able to get a whole lot done when not up against a force as dominant as the Cookout. So the potential is so there. And seeing Derek on the challenge, I mean, look, the challenge that he was on, weird algorithm, situation
Right.
happening, and you can never just kind of be on the same page with a partner. There's a lot of moving pieces, and granted, some of the elite players of the season are going to rise beyond those challenges as well. But I still thought Derek did very well for himself, given, the weirdness of that season and everything. So I think we have, plenty of reason to believe that this is a person who has a lot of potential in these games. And even for, 10th place doesn't sound spectacular when there's usually like 16, 17, 18 people on a season, but I still feel like in my mind he did a lot better than that number shows. I remember his social game being very good. I remember him and Hannah being a very fun duo to watch in the game, and just, I don't know, a lot of good feelings about DX, both then and now. Yeah. So but would I be lying if I said I wasn't nervous?
I know.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see who he's up against, because I'm ready for us to drag some people. Like, let's put some bad players up.
Yeah, he's definitely middle high or like low high for me in terms of like overall effectiveness at the game. So there's plenty of people that could definitely oust him out of here. So it's not, I mean, half of the people are gone. So half of the good players theoretically are gone. So maybe
I also will say, I feel like the level of gameplay has definitely gone up way up over the years. The level of the cast familiarity with the show period has gone up over the years. So I feel good for Derek, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I'm looking back on the Sarah Beth HOH just to like remind myself of what else was happening that week. And you have, so it's Claire, Derek F, and Xavier that are on the block at the beginning of the week. Xavier was on it because of the Alyssa won the chopping block roulette. Were you guys just talking about this? Weird circumstances. Then Xavier comes down off the block. It's Claire and DX that end up on the block ultimately. But as far as Derek X is concerned, in that, I just remember like feeling like he should have been able to accomplish something with Sarah Beth, and just, in a way of we both could benefit from working together, and it didn't work. But what'd you say, Kyland?
Yeah, not with Kyland in her ear.
Right.
He does that thing where he just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks until you break down.
Yeah. So we'll see. I guess, and the only way to see is by pulling the wheel back up and finding another player to be the opponent of one DX. I'm scared.
Oh, man,
not Azza.
I have flashbacks from rooting for DX because I got my ass torn up on Twitter all because people were like, "I thought you wanted all the black people to win." I was like, "I do, but I like DX."
Yeah, I feel like it was always like the black people in DX, and we're okay with that.
I will say this wheel, I just know what this wheel looks like today. I feel like there's a lot of BB9 on it because one of Matt's seasons, but also Big Brother 9 hasn't been coming up a ton, and a lot of celeb players still available. I'm like, come on, DX.
We're definitely getting some celeb in here, so maybe DX is a shot.
Yeah,
let's rip the band-aid off and find out who DX
the
is
winner
up against.
That'd be crazy.
Oh no.
Oh well.
We're gonna be looking at DX versus. All right.
Who is it?
I think we'll be okay. Mirai.
Okay. Not Asian on Asian crime. Stop Asian hate, y'all. It's crazy.
Wow, the wheel. I'm not a fan of this wheel. Not cool.
Big Brother Celebrity 3, Mirai Nagasu. Our first boot, I do believe.
Second boot.
Technically second. Who was first?
Oof. Teddy Mellencamp.
Oh,
yeah. Wow.
Sending some good thoughts Teddy's way. She's been going through life right now. Not great stuff. But yeah, we are going to talk about Mirai, who was supposed to be the first boot / the first target of the season, and then gets pulled in a little bit and doesn't last that much longer. Aman, notes on Mirai.
Yes, Mirai. When Chris Kirkpatrick won HOH, he renominated Mariah next to Chris Kattan, feeling she was a huge threat who he didn't connect with. In the lead up to the live veto and eviction, there was a plan in the works to save Mariah and backdoor a power player, but it ultimately did not go through. In his eviction speech, Kattan begged the House to keep Mariah instead of him, citing her passion to play. But his pleas fell on deaf ears as players from all sides came together to evict her in a unanimous 7-0 vote. Quick editing note, I did realize that we got a note from one of our listeners talking about how the phrase falling on deaf ears could be considered offensive to those that are hard of hearing. I will say that I did not write that, so I was just reading along with what was said, but I wanted to acknowledge you that I did hear you. I do take your critique, and I apologize for this popping up once again. But
yeah,
that's
we'll go through and copy edit some of those notes as we get a that's our cross the bear, I guess, when we steal notes with credit, but we steal notes. Anyway, thanks for mentioning that. But let's get into Mariah here, as she again did not get the best results one could hope for out of a season of Celebrity Big Brother, but she tried. Matt,
So much to say about Mariah. Like, so much to say. I honestly, the one thing I'll bring up with Mariah, like, she had a great temperament in the house. I do remember that. But the thing that I will never forget about Mariah is that Chris Kattan, who also I believe could still come up in this, in this podcast. So we'll see. But Chris Kattan was begging to leave the house, and they still voted Mariah out. I don't understand how she was a threat. I just, from what I remember, it felt like it was misconstrued, or I don't know if it was that she was the youngest or that she was athletic or what it was, but they really just didn't want her in the house for some reason. And I don't know if there's much rationale to it. Maybe, the two of you could speak to it, but the Celebrity Big Brother seasons, like I was sort of alluding to at the beginning, like the first couple of people or the first few people who are out, either they're horrible at playing the game, and I kind of might say that Mariah was horrible at playing the game in the sense that she wasn't able to fight for herself and keep herself in despite being a totally inoffensive person. But what do you two think about Mariah?
just truly did nothing wrong in my mind. I think it was just the alliances of the house, specifically Todrick and Misha, were putting their group together. They had Chris Kirkpatrick, shout out to Lavina, there, and who else was Shayna, right, was kind of in with that. Just like they were trying to figure out what that group was going to look like, and Carson and Cynthia and whatnot, and just like all the different ways that things were shaping up, and every single combination didn't involve Mariah. And in that first week, you have I should double check the exact chart to remember like how things went down as far as coming off the block or being on the block. But I have a memory of Misha, the winner of the season, saying like, let's pull her in temporarily so that because she's such a strong player, if she wins next week, she'll protect us, kind of thing. She didn't end up winning the next week. And they were like, all right, well, you know what? She's such a strong player. We got to get her out now. And I mean, okay, yeah, she's an athlete. Granted, they do the same thing to Ryan Lochte in season 2. Just get him out of here. He's an athlete. He's going to do well. It's not always the case. Lolo goes to final 3 type of stuff happens. But just they did not get off her neck once for the entire 13 days that she played that game. Aman.
Yeah, I remember there being talks about something going on between her and Chris Kirkpatrick. We kept hearing like rumblings about it on the feeds after she had left, that there was some type of conflict there. None of it ever really came, like no one ever really mentioned specifically what it was. But that seemed to play a large part as to why she sort of became the house pariah. I don't know if she kind of understood exactly what she was getting herself into, and to her credit, a lot of the celebrities don't. So she's in good company there. But I do think that it was just very hard for her to find her footing. And when you have somebody like Todrick Hall, who's very, 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 very hardcore into Big Brother, it was the biggest thing about Celebrity Big Brother 3 that was so frustrating was that once there was a narrative that was in the house, that was the narrative that was going to get hammered down into everybody's mind. It wasn't until like towards right around what's her face's eviction, Shanna's eviction, where things started to be like, okay, Todrick, you're annoying. but that was way after Mariah had already left, and I just feel like she couldn't just not get her footing. And so yeah, not the best showing. She was really sweet and very kind, and
Mhm.
I was excited to see her on the show, but yeah, just not the best showing at all.
She goes on another show after Big Brother. I remember hearing about it, and now I have to look it up and see. I feel like she was competing on something else.
Maybe. But
Anybody remember that?
I don't know, but I will say that with Mariah, I mean, I always feel for a player like Mariah in a cast of all these people who, like, I'm looking at, like, Carson Kressley, we have Chris Kirkpatrick, like, we have all these people who I think are more, how do I, like, you associate them with celebrity more than you would Mariah. I don't know if Mariah would think of herself in that way. She's an athlete, and that's a very different life than what Carson or, any Todd Bridges even would experience. And so I felt like she was a deer in headlights this, I was gonna say this whole season, but really it
13
went by
days?
pretty quick. The 13 days that she was
Mhm.
in there.
Yeah. I think I'm getting it backwards. I don't see anything
Oh.
telling me that she was on anything after Celebrity Big Brother like this, but going the opposite direction. She was on Dancing with the Stars a couple years prior in the athlete season, and also didn't
Ouch.
win
Oh.
that either. But
She was also a guest judge on Drag Race at some point. I do
Yeah.
remember her
Okay.
there. Yeah.
The week, the first week, so it's Misha as HOH, Carson and Mariah are the nominees. Carson wins the veto, Teddy goes up, and then Todd was the one that had the essentially the safety chain, I think, and loses safety chain, and so he has to pick either Mariah or Teddy to take their spot on the block. He ended up saving Mariah, putting himself in harm's way, but also knowing that Teddy was going to get voted out if he sat next to her. So yeah, it wasn't like, even I guess to my memory, I'm thinking that it was something that Misha did to save Mariah directly, and maybe she was involved in Todd's decision. I can't 100% say from my memory, but it wasn't great. Didn't work out in her favor, and as she is here up against DX, I don't know if it'll be up in her favor either here, but we have to vote and figure that out for good. Matt, kick us off.
Tough one here. No, DX, of course, voting for Derek X here.
All right, I'm on.
Yeah, my boy DX going through, baby.
All right, 3 votes for DX. Let's make it 4 votes for DX because we do have a patron vote that has gone to Derek X. And when
wow.
Okay.
I thought you were about to say Mariah, and I was like, wow, that was closer than I thought. Okay.
When I say we have 1 patron vote going to DX, I do want to mention we basically had 8 patron votes going to DX. Aman, this is the person, the number 1 person on the list that had the most attempts of different patrons trying to cast a vote for them, Derek X.
I mean, not surprising. Like, he's on one of those seasons where, you get screwed. I feel like any fan favorites that get screwed by either the cookout or the brigade, they're bound to get some support as far as votes go. Because, yeah, I mean, and I guess they need it. They need it because typically those people are playing relatively decent games. They're just playing with a big alliance. So it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I put Derek X DX like higher than maybe most people just off of memory, but I think a lot of that has to do with his position in the community and how involved he's been in Amazing Race and Reindeer Games even. He's been around. So yeah, a shame that the patron vote wasn't needed here, but
it could have been. I was nervous, very nervous. Just I see a lot of names on this wheel that maybe aren't all like spectacular, the best players, but there's a lot of scary names still here. So it definitely could have been needed, and that's why the vote exists in the first place. But shout out to KX, I believe one of the earlier people to get a vote in, and it was on DX, which is why 7 more people afterwards tried to then get the vote in, and I tally it up just for the sake of you all knowing this information. And so KX will get another vote sometime soon. But in the meantime, Derek X is going to go through to the next round over Mariah, and we're going to get the wheel going to find out where we go next.
Let's go.
Let's do this 2 more times.
Who's it gonna be?
Up next. Oh my God, that was so close. I almost had to get Lavina on the phone. We're gonna go to Big Brother 8. Matt, you were asking for it. I gotta say, I'm really also hoping for BB9 here. Like, what are we get in the conversation?
Yeah.
But no, we'll go to BB9 here and talk about Kale, who I can only imagine is on that top of the list you made of, the most elite players remaining on the wheel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like Kale was such a solid force in the game. There's the Mrs. Robinson alliance of it all. I judge her a little bit every time I rewatch BB-8 just for wanting to group up with the strong men, which is also very relevant right now with the Survivor season. But like she did such a great job keeping a cool head in a house with Evil Dick. Like everyone was in tears. Everyone was losing it. Kale was amazing. I know, Aman, you're going to give the overview, but I'm a fan of Kale.
Yeah. Kale, the creator of the Mrs. Robinson Alliance. She became a target of Dick after campaigning to evict him during week 2. This led to her being nominated for the rest of the time she spent in the house. Despite making amends with Dick in week 5, she'd already been up on the block by Danielle, and despite being nominated alongside the Donato's target Eric was able to gather the votes to save himself, resulting in Kale being evicted 4-3, placing 10th. Yeah.
I'm desperately trying to look through and find the video. I don't know if anybody remembers that I tweeted out a video a couple of I guess months back at this point as I was watching Big Brother 8, and Kale is just somebody who I'll keep looking for it after I'm done talking. Is somebody who just didn't surround herself with a lot of gay people in her life, and so she's presented here on this season with at least 2 openly gay people that she is going to be living in a house with, and the conversations that came up were just of a time and place, and maybe still be conversations that people would have today if they still live in an environment surrounded by anything but queer people, but very interesting. And yes, the alliance of just these big buff straight guys, it brings you back to watching Kale.
Yeah, I mean, Kale, I felt like she was the strategist, or a big strategist in this season more than a number of other folks. And yet at the same time, nothing ever went her way. Like, did anything ever go her way? Was she ever on the, no, I don't think that I don't remember a single moment of celebration from Kale along the season. So, I mean, that's what it is. But it was fun, kind of to your point, Matt, fun to see her in the house, just recognizing that we don't get a ton of characters who are of that archetype, especially now. So it was just something different and fun to look back on, despite the problematic nature of some of her presence there. But she didn't know gay people. Like, she met Dustin and Joe. Like, the first 2 gay people any Midwestern
that ever existed.
woman
Yes.
should need to meet. Yeah.
Yes.
The reality TV game was, the producers loved that shit back then in like the early 2000s, like with the conservative anti-gay person with the most flamboyant gay person ever. Like, and that, I mean, even Dan Giesling talked about it a lot when he was talking about going through casting. He was like, yeah, I made sure that I really revved it up with my conservative views, because I knew if I did that, then they were going to try to find someone that would be on the opposite spectrum for me, which I don't know if they really got that in Steven from BB10, because he was kind of chill. But yeah. Kale, yeah, I mean, I think, like I mentioned before, she kind of did this thing where she created this Mrs. Robinson alliance, wanted a lot of strong men around her. But the thing is that those strong men kind of sucked. One of them also, made the mistake of going after Dick openly and then getting his ass evicted for it. One of them was wasn't one of them with Danielle, like had a crush on Danielle, like a little
Nick?
thing going on with Nick.
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah.
So it was like, what's going on here? Like, she just I just don't think that she ever really, outside of just being shielded, there really wasn't much going on in terms of her game, and a lot of her allies were out the door. So it was like, once she was left by herself, then what?
I found the video. I don't want to play it like video wise, because I
Yeah.
don't want YouTube to come for us, but let me know if you can't hear the audio here.
Mm-hmm.
As it's loading. My caption was that this diva really said the wildest shit about gay people.
They used to say Robin was gay. Yeah. Is that true? I don't think so. How about Barney? Because he wears purple. Because he was purple? I don't know. I think that was just a rumor. Plus, he's a fictional dinosaur character. I don't think that he has sexual preferences. My community where I live is very, very, very small. So I don't personally know any homosexuals. They hang out with them anywhere. Can you tell a gay guy from a straight? Oh, yeah. You can. Even if they're like you? Yep. I would have never guessed you. I don't think I'll ever be good at spotting a gay guy just because I don't look for that unless they're going to be wearing their full makeup. Then it's a giveaway. It's the way that.
So unless they're a drag queen, oh my god.
I could not believe that clip when I first saw it rewatching that season a couple of months back, and it is just wild. She's like, so I heard Robin's gay. Is Barney gay?
Barney doesn't wear purple. Barney is purple. He's a purple dinosaur.
And there was a lot of comments on this tweet of people being like, look, props to her for being open-minded. She was like really learning about this for the first time.
Right.
And, definitely valid points there. But just, yeah, I just can't recognize them unless they're wearing, their full makeup.
But you know what? In her defense,
and
I will say this about some of the gays.
Oh,
some of the gays be trying to make everybody else gay.
So,
like, the conspiracies behind, this famous that's a gay icon. They're one of us. It's like,
let me sip my tea.
Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just characters, and that's it. Like, there could be, just because there's like a theme of like being like hiding a part of themselves, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're gay. It just means that they have parts of the personality that they hide. And that's it.
I mean, and honestly, like the whole thing about Barney could be gay for all we know. Like maybe she was onto something, but that has nothing to do with him being purple. So I'm just saying. But no, it's look.
It didn't carry a bag. No, that was one of the Teletubbies. That was Tinky Winky. No. Yes.
Oh yeah, no.
Yes, he had a little bag, and they were like, "Oh my god, he's gay because he has a purse." I'm like, or they're not. I don't know.
Yeah, no. Look, I mean, and here's the thing with Kale. Like, I was so over her at the time. Watching back so many years later, I think I appreciate this season. BB-8 is wild because there's just so much emotion. I mean, and I think it comes from a lot of things. Obviously, there's the twist with the different pairs that know each other, namely Dick and Danielle. And then Dick was so horrible that like you can't blame anyone, including Kale, for targeting him, even if that wasn't the best logical thing strategically. So I did appreciate the effort. I'll never be a Dick Donato fan. Gross.
It is wild the way that her journey in the house goes from being one of many Dick Donato or Donato family in general enemies to they kind of want to pull her in at the last second and save her and make it a thing there. But at that point it's like, no, we're we got to cut off the Kale thing that has been, honestly, she makes it a lot farther than she probably was slated to after things go poorly in the first couple of weeks / days. So making it 41 days, probably, much more than she could have hoped for given the circumstances there. And I don't know. I mean, what is Kale up to today? What is, you throw her back into BB22 instead of a different old school player. What are we going to possibly see there? I don't know.
She probably has a bunch of gay friends.
You think? Possible. I will say I did look it up. Like the town that she's from in Oregon is nicknamed Rainbow, Oregon, apparently. Oh. So I don't know if that's fake or not, but
do we do a Kale episode of The Pride Has Spoken and just her up on what she's possibly missed over the course of her whole life?
Yeah, I don't want to be microaggressed like that, but it would be interesting. Yeah. So
side note, I saw the most beautiful rainbow in person this week in Philly. I'll send it to both of you on
Twitter. Please.
Yes. Like when you think of a rainbow, I was like, wow, this is probably the like rainbowiest rainbow I've ever seen in my life. I'll send it to you.
And it made you think of Kale.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to a wedding sometime last year, and we were like high up on a mountain because that's where the wedding was taking place. And it had been kind of rainy out, and two rainbows had emerged, and it was like we were at like the top of the rainbow. I was like, this is the craziest shit. That's like making me aware of the fact that I'm a human being on this earth.
Right. That's not, like, that's exactly
The
what I felt
the
like.
double rainbows, which made you
Yeah.
think of Dustin and Joe, of course.
Yes.
Wow.
So yeah, it all ties back to BB-8.
Yeah.
Well, while Amon is sending us pictures of rainbows,
Yes,
let me
please.
pull up the wheel and let's get back to see who's going to be up against Kale. Now, this is kind of the flip side of the first one, where maybe whoever comes up here has a good chance, but you don't know what's going to happen until you spin.
Mhm.
Who's it gonna be?
Let's see who's getting Kale as their opponent. I hope it's somebody queer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wait,
This is not what I meant when I said I wanted Big Brother 9. Jen from Big Brother 9. Holy crap.
I couldn't remember if this was
Yeah.
the Jen that sent her home by winning the Vino.
No,
That would have been
this
funny.
is
No, unfortunately.
Jen. Big Brother 9 tells the whole house that her boyfriend also in the house is racist. Jen, that Jen.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
Oh,
How is Kale the one that ends up in a better position here? Front runner, I would imagine. Two layups go against each other, and you have the Diary Room podcast. All right, well, let's talk
Alrighty.
about Jen.
Jen entered the game with her boyfriend Ryan. However, Jen was paired up with Parker. After winning the power couple comp, Jen and Parker decided to evict Jacob and Sharon. Despite planning to keep the relationship a secret, Jen was forced to tell Parker, along with Ryan's partner Allison, about their relationship due to Parker wanting to evict Ryan. Jen and Parker decided to tell the rest of the house about the relationship in fear that Allison would leak the secret first. However, this move only caused their other house guests to be angry at them for lying, resulting in the pair being nominated alongside Allison and Ryan. Jen's personality had rubbed the other house guests the wrong way and resulted in her and Parker being evicted in a 3-1 vote, placing 14th. Yeah.
One of the all-time messiest people, not even players, people to enter the Big Brother house. This woman and then gets paired with Parker, who's like a big fan of the game and wants to play, and
Yeah,
even years after the show is like
Mhm.
still a fan of the show. Parker could not have possibly dreamt up a worse partner than this woman here. If you are not a Big Brother 9 person, if you are not a I don't know, if you haven't seen it in a long time, maybe since it aired, and you don't remember Jen, it's because she played only 14 days, but she flamed out so fast. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I will say she was put in a really tough position. You know, they're probably really excited to go on TV, and then the producers are like, "Oh, by the way, we're gonna place you guys with other people. Let's see how you handle it." And as far as stereotypes go, they really made it seem like she was the one that was the more territorial one, whereas Ryan was able to really handle, not being paired up with her a little better. And I think, obviously, what do you do when your partner, your in-game partner, wants your in-life partner out of the house? You're kind of forced at that point. If you want that person to stay, you're like, okay, I gotta do something here. And then from then on out, that's when I'm like, okay, girl, y'all could have kept a littleness a little bit more, but y'all really, and not only did you out yourself, but then you did what you did. Like, I'm like, what is it?
Well,
And
I mean, yeah.
that was like truly was it not like that was kind of her strategy in order to stay in the house over Ryan, by getting people to feel like they didn't like Ryan because she was saying, well, just so you know, Ryan's also racist. I think she was specifically pointing out that she had dated a black man before, or been with in some capacity,
Mhm.
and Ryan didn't like it when he found out about that in her past. And she's like just telling anybody in the house that this was the case, and everyone's like, you're telling us this about your own boyfriend? And then Ryan found out about it, and she's like, no, but I didn't mean it like that. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
It
I
was like,
will say,
what does that say about you, man?
yeah, first of all, there's that part. And also, she expected these people to care.
Yeah.
Like, she expected they did not. He made Ryan is the runner-up of the season. Like,
Yep.
let's remember that, not the audience for it. But Yeah, just I'm guessing they're not together anymore.
Don't think so.
Yeah,
I mean, bitch, I wouldn't be like if you calling me a racist on national TV, and I am a racist.
I was gonna say.
It's over.
Ooh, gosh, yeah, no. When I was thinking of BB9, I was not one.
Tell me about it.
I don't know. So I have a lot of regrets about even thinking of BB9. But no, it like Jen is not the person that I at all thought of. I mean, I do feel like with any season, it's normally interesting to talk about like some of the top people. When I think of BB9, for instance, like interesting conversation would be about Natalie, like all over the place. Love to see it. A little strategy there. Jen, I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to tell you. I've got
Yeah.
nothing for her as like this is Survivor.
There's not much to say beyond like just the amazement of how bad it was. She because so again, to back it up in case like anybody doesn't know BB9 at all, they come in with there's a couple of pre-existing relationships, or at least this one coming into the house, that Jen and Ryan are dating in real life, but they get partnered up in the till death do us part twist of everybody's with a pair, a romantic pair, by the show's creation, not
And
by
they put
your
them in
creation.
that suggestive ass first comp where they're like hanging on to each other's bodies over a bed with
Yeah.
roses and hearts all over it. I'm like, this is
Trying to make some couples happen. And at one point, Jen is going to tell her partner, Parker, that her and Ryan are dating outside the house, which essentially forces Ryan to feel like he has to tell his partner, Allison. Allison eventually is going to find out about it. She's not very happy. It's just a whole tornado that takes down basically all of them. And it was about to take out Ryan too, other than the fact that the twist that comes into play when Ryan is evicted with Allison is going to save one of them to stay in the game. Allison goes, Ryan stays. And at that point, the stink of what Jen started kind of disappears because there's a whole lot else happening in the house outside of Ryan, and Jen was the wrecking ball that was causing so many waves in the house, or one of them, I should say, in that very tumultuous house. So it is just some insanity, and I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but I can't believe I'm voting for Kale to advance. But when you're up against this person in a competition of who is a better Big Brother player, for me, it's
I will
Kale.
also be voting for Kale.
Uh-oh.
Well, Matt, did you have any other thoughts?
I just want to say, I mentioned I started watching the show BB7. There was BB8, and I'm just getting to know it and getting to know the show. BB9, like to me, that was normalized. I remember watching it. I remember being a winter season. I remember everyone feeling really weird about it after. And I'm hoping that we don't have to talk about BB9 again today. So I'm going to vote for Kale.
That is insane. Kale, I saw some reactions on last episode. Just surprised that Jocasta is going through to the next round. Not like anti-Jocasta, but just like that doesn't seem like a player that is a lock for round 2. But
Who is she over again?
Laura from Big Brother 11.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Wow. What a pull.
That's a
like
matchup.
Laura from Big Brother. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Kale going through to round 2 is wilder to me. But hey, you got to have some layups in round 2 as well, just like in round 1. So
it happens. It happens.
We'll see. I mean, that's the fun thing. Maybe I don't know. I think Kale could make a good run at it.
We'll see.
Yeah.
There's also the moment, I don't remember if one of you said this earlier, but where she like the memory wall comes on and she sees her and Parker's faces up there, and she like declares like, oh, we're gonna win, like just looking at the board, we're gonna win, and everyone gets pissed off at her because they're like, who says that out loud? Like, save that for the diary room. Spoiler alert, they did not win. Anyway, let's get back to the wheel. We have one more matchup to go, and after that insanity, who knows what is to come here. Matt, you have 2 players left to pull. We did get to BB8.
Come on, Azza.
Oh, we're still looking for Azza. I forgot.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We'll see.
Can we get Azza, or are we going some other strange direction like we have been lately? No, we just passed Azza. Not going to be Azza. We're going to go back to one of the seasons we've already talked about, and we're going to talk about Big Brother 9 again. I'm sorry.
Alex.
Woo!
I'm not sorry
Yay.
because we need to get these BB9
By
people
the way,
out of
can
here.
we just put? I didn't realize this, but Donato's in his last name.
Call it
is.
Donato.
Alex
Yeah.
Donato.
Why do you think he got cast?
That is entirely the reason he was cast.
They said there's a good chance
It
somewhere down the line he was a Donato.
Ugh.
Alex came up at some point before. He came up on the episode with, I think, Goose Amon, where I was like, wait a second, this is not a player that's supposed to be on your wheel. And so we had to respin on when Alex came up with Goose. Because remember, I kind of messed up Goose's wheel.
Oh, yeah. I was like, we talked about Alex already?
Well, yeah. So he was about to come up. This is now the second time he has actually been successfully pulled on the wheel. So he has been itching to get off of the wheel. And, you know, a lot of things in BB9 were itchy. So let's talk about Alex.
Mhm.
Okay, Alex. His soulmate in the game was Amanda, and they were evicted by a unanimous vote of 3-0 in week 2. Later, Alex was voted by America to be the mystery house guest and was able to return to the game if a majority of the house guests voted for him over James. Alex only received 3 of the 8 votes needed to return to the game, losing to James. Yeah.
He's got to be from Staten Island, right? My memory of him and his attitude and the way that
Those are the vibes.
persona.
That sounds very familiar. Yes.
He's definitely a New Yorker.
Yeah. And not a member of the Donato family, but just another player in Big Brother 9, Matt, who did not have the best run. He was also eliminated in the teams.
He's from Staten Island.
Yeah. He's also eliminated in the pairs format, as his partner Amanda was quite the lightning rod of controversy as well. A lot of mess in Big Brother 9.
Yeah, a lot of mess in Big Brother 9. And I feel like he started out the season pretty well. Like the one HOH was it was the first or second week or so.
Yeah, he was the first HOH, him and Amanda.
First HOH. Yeah, I mean, you know, it didn't work out too well for him. But this is the thing about BB9, and that's so hard to talk about, is that it ends up being like just the messiest group of people you could possibly have together. A lot of yelling. Amanda, obviously, not exempt from that. And so I feel like for me, even in reconsidering this season, Amanda comes to mind so much more quickly. She was such a bigger character. Alex to me was sort of there, but I can't really speak so much to his game and what he did, other than in my memory, he didn't do much of anything.
Yeah, he was like linked up with Maddie when they were both in the game, and I think a lot of people did want to see the two of them split. But it was all about, in the same way that we just talked about Parker kind of was brought down by what Jen was doing, Alex was brought down by how people didn't like Amanda. And Amanda, who goes through some really tough stuff in the house, and you know, arguing with people, collapsing to the ground with a medical emergency.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There was a lot, and a lot of it, of course, again, specifically on Amanda's end of things. But when you're attached to this person and you get evicted alongside of them before the game changed, that's the fate he had.
Yeah. One other thing I'll point out is that, because you mentioned Amanda collapsing, which reminded me of this, that was an interesting moment, because the one player that even at the time stood out to me was Crazy James, because you're like, oh my gosh, this guy stands out, like tattoos, all that stuff. And I remember there being a segment when Amanda collapsed, which was definitely happening while like someone else was having a medical emergency at the same time. But I remember James going up and like helping Amanda, and others were commenting like, wow, I was just surprised that James would be so helpful. And then flash forward to the fact that, you know, Alex is evicted, James is evicted, and James is the one that's voted back in. I don't know. It's like, again, Alex just ends up being a footnote for me in a lot of these dynamics.
For sure.
With James sort of rising ahead of him.
Yeah, James and Chelsea were the HOH that sent them home. It was Alex and Amanda, Matt and Natalie on the block together. Again, I remember them wanting to split up Alex and Matt in one way or another, and they were successful in doing so. And Amon, they were evicted unanimously, Alex and Amanda.
Yeah, I remember, you know, the two of them. I mean, as far as Alex was concerned, he definitely was a little bit more well integrated into the house, which I think he tried to work to his advantage in like the most weird way. Like there was like I remember a couple of diary rooms about him, being a little rude with Amanda, singling out for wearing a bikini in the house, calling her a slut, stuff like that, because he was trying to distance himself from her. But I'm like,
Wild.
you can't distance yourself from her. You're going to be on the block with her. You're going to go home with her. So maybe don't badmouth your partner
Mhm.
to the house. But aside from that, given the standards of house dynamics back then, he was still more popular than a lot of the other house guests, and a lot of people viewed him as being, another person that was screwed by having a partner in the game. So in that respect, sure, I guess as far as the temperature as the house is concerned, he was doing fairly well. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, Matt, in that like just a bit of a footnote, nothing too exemplary about his game. And when it comes to a cast that is as crazy as BB9, like, sometimes being the best of the worst really isn't saying much.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, not amazing. And I just also feel like this was an era. Well, BB9 in its own right, because BB8 again, I feel like phenomenal casting. Big Brother 10, obviously phenomenal casting. I haven't even talked enough about how much I love Big Brother 10, and I mentioned Ozza, but like, where's Jerry? I need Jerry because I'm pulling for Jerry. Jerry and Ozza are my two.
I can't help but wonder what
But,
Alex would have
yeah.
done if he did make it back in, because it was
No.
him in the vote. I think Amon said this in the blurb. It was him in the vote against James, who
Right.
was recently voted out, and they said you can either have James right back, the devil that you know, versus that you
Mhm.
don't know. Who knows who's in that box, and they don't know if it's
Mhm.
Jen or Amanda, who they want nothing to do with. Right? Because they didn't say it was
Nobody.
Alex. If they knew
No.
that. Yeah, if they knew it was Alex, I could see a world where, like, especially Maddie and maybe Ryan try to like push for Alex to come back in, because, like, again, Amon was saying he was a little bit more well integrated in the house. But in a world where it could have been anybody from those first couple of boots, you can't take that chance. James just left. Bring him back. Let's try to make up with him a little bit. Some people weren't even like dying to have him evicted that week. It was just whatever the circumstances were, but he probably makes somewhat of an okay run if he does make it back in without Amanda by his side, but that's okay.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. And this is the thing that's strange about that. So you're reminding me that they didn't know it was Alex, but America voted for Alex to be the one that would return, which is again
Yeah.
a head scratcher for me in retrospect. But I don't know if that's just about his archetype or what it was, because there wasn't a lot that was. I guess there were the pickings were probably kind of slim. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a bit. Alex has been at events though. Amon, you've probably run into him. I'm sure I have too, at like a New York watch party. He'll be on the poster from time to time.
Don't know if I have, at least not knowingly.
Not knowingly might be it. I don't know if you would look around the corner and say, "Oh, I know you from a long time ago on Big Brother." But I definitely know that I've seen his face on some posters over the years. And that was probably the most we could ever come up with, unless a terrible player comes up next and Alex goes to the second round. But
It could happen.
only one way to find out. Are we going to stick to BB9 all, back half of this podcast?
Honestly, I feel like I'm doing my service cleaning up
That
cleaning up a little bit.
kind of is exactly what's going on here. So are we ready? Last player of the episode?
Ready.
All right. Well, Ozza is a name we're waiting for. Jerry McDonald is a name that we're waiting for. But there's a lot more players on the wheel than just those. And we just passed Ozza, so I have bad news for you.
Yeah.
This is fucking crazy.
This
is insane.
Wow.
BP 3 again.
Well, okay. Yeah, I really thought for a second we were going to land on Crazy James.
Not that crazy. This is crazy in the sense that the episode that we are recording here today now has come full circle. Amon, Cynthia Bailey and her Gotta Get Out run is what we were referring to earlier, if you didn't put that together. And so
I thought it might have been Omarosa.
No. Omarosa, who came up very early on in the podcast, is not on the wheel anymore, but Cynthia Bailey is. And we're going to discuss Cynthia Bailey versus Alex from BB9. And we'll talk about Cynthia's run on Gotta Get Out. Again, spoiler alert incoming for anybody who has not watched that. But Aman, let's start with the notes on Cynthia from her Big Brother run.
All right. Cynthia was initially doing very well. She had become part of the formation and was with Carson and Teddy. Feeling she and Carson were out on an island, Cynthia was able to survive as the opposition when the Athletes Alliance began to turn on each other. When Carson won HOH, Cynthia was ready to get revenge on Misha, but Todrick made a last-ditch effort and brainwashed Cynthia. Misha and Todrick quickly betrayed them when they got Carson out the next round. Misha chose to take Todrick to the end instead of Cynthia, making Cynthia place third. Yeah.
Matt, what sticks with you from watching Cynthia on Celebrity Big Brother?
Oh my gosh. Well, this season, just in real time, was frustrating to watch, to see Todrick running circles around everyone. I think really interesting. Like, if obviously Misha didn't come up here for us, but I think it'd be interesting to talk about her because this season was the Todrick show. Like, Todrick was all over the place, and Cynthia was just like solid. She was there. She was likable. She was in alliances. She wasn't the worst. She definitely was far from the worst player in the game, but like she wasn't delivering when it came to the competitions and everything else. I think a lot of people hoped that she would be able to be some sort of opposition to Todrick, but then she ended up being snowed by him along the way. So I don't, I feel like her placement is great here, but I was listening to a podcast recently where Rob Sesternino, the one and only, we might know him from some places, but he put out this idea that like the best people or the people who make it to the end of like any competition show are the best and the worst. And I don't want to say Cynthia's the worst, but she just wasn't giving in a season where Todrick was all too ready to dominate. Like Todrick could have been in a regular player season and I think done pretty well. And so it was tough competition there. But I mean, obviously we'll got to get out. Cynthia, I think, has some strategic chops in her, but they didn't do what we needed them to do.
Probably one of like the top 10 players I've been the most frustrated watching on a season of Big Brother, and that's her and her buddy Carson on this season.
Yeah.
It's just, it was not fun watching them be snowed against Shayna, who was so damn clearly working with them on their side, using vetoes to help their side and making anything happen against Todrick and Misha, but they were just so snowed. And Carson had the connection to Todrick in one way or another, so he felt like he could trust him, and Cynthia was trusting Carson, so why not go along with it? But it just felt, I know I'm sitting at home watching it and not in the game, but it felt pretty clear as day what the pieces actually were, that Shayna was on their side and they turn against her. They're making silly decisions in the following weeks as it's Carson and Lamar on the block together, and Cynthia and Carson are like, oh yeah, Carson, your best chance to stay is if you stay on the block because they're not going to vote you out. So we should ask Misha to not use the veto. And they go to her and they're like, can you leave the nominations the same? And she's like, oh yeah, I can definitely do that for you guys. I can totally keep the nominations the same. I think that makes a lot of sense, and we'll vote Lamar out. And of course, Carson goes. Just truly horrible at Big Brother. Got to Get Out, different story. But Aman, we're not there yet. What do you have on Cynthia's Big Brother?
It was aggravatingly frustrating. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Ooh, they ruined the season. They ruined the season. This was the moment that the big bad wolf was supposed to get his just due, and it just goes to show, like, no matter how old you get, you can still be duped. Like, if you don't, if you're not like using everything up here, you can be easily manipulated into some bullshit. And I really felt like I didn't really know too much about Cynthia. But at least Carson, I was like, Carson, come on. Come on. But, Todrick, did what he could, and he leveraged his drag race familiarity with Carson and really got into their heads that, Shanna was against them, which like I remember like some of what they were like, it was like one of those, lies that was like baked in truth, because there were moments when Shanna's interests didn't necessarily align with Bailey and Cynthia and Carson's, but they ultimately were still on the same side of the house. They were ultimately still like, you all still needed to go against Misha and Todrick, and you fucked it up.
And then she gets to the, and it's obviously the two of them that are going to go to the end game together, and she's still like kind of what. And then wasn't she feuding with Todd Bridges by the end of the season? Like they weren't getting along. And again, it's like you all need each other. Any one of you that's not Todrick or Misha needs each other. And her getting mad at Todd and basically like confirming her allegiance to Todrick.
They blew up in the kitchen. They were like, fuck you. And then Cynthia goes into the room. And then just like 5 minutes later, she goes back out. She's like, and another thing. And then Feet's gone.
And look, Cynthia Bailey, a real housewife of Atlanta, she knows how it goes in, when things get heated in the house and you go for it. But not then. You were trying to win Big Brother, girl. Come on.
No, such a weird season for sure. And it is a disappointment that this was the last US Celebrity Big Brother, or this is the latest US Celebrity Big Brother we've seen. Like not a great note to end on. But it was rough, especially seeing that like Todd Bridges of all people shocked me for how like heated he was most of the season. Like I'm voting. He would do like the trucker move every time he voted and all. But you know what? It's like Cynthia was there and she made it really, she made it as far as she could for not being Todrick's number one. So
Amon, may I fully spoil Gotta Get Out, or are you going to watch it?
I kind of want to watch it. I can like take my headphones out. I actually want to grab some water. Go ahead.
Okay, you do that.
Okay,
I'm gonna fully spoil Gotta Get Out, and
please,
how Cynthia does on it for anybody who has seen it, because it feels worthwhile bringing up and part of the conversation. If you haven't seen it, skip ahead, maybe until her graphic is gone. And then it'll be safe to get back in here. Cynthia Bailey, Matt, you watched it,
yes.
She dominates. She's only there for 4 episodes because the point of that show is to get out of the house. She finds she eventually gets a exit strategy, which, like, long story short, is just something that you need to get out of the house. Pairs up with a guy who is able to do the running to escape the house for her. And because she has spent the entire 4 days in the house to that point, camped out by the button, it works. She's able to hold off anybody else hitting the button because she's standing there watching guard. Stein goes for the money. He gets the money, and he is agreeable to share the money with her and give both of them like $130,000 to get out of the house.
Something like that. Yeah, no, and the biggest bit like that. It's so funny how the game works, because that was like the biggest prize, even though there were several more episodes. But I feel like that strategy of her being the button protector, and then the way she explained it, like, it was awesome. We loved it. So I'm a fan. Amon's back.
Amon's always done this shaking thing in front of the camera, and sometimes he would do it under the camera. And I remember that one time.
I mean, I'm glad it was high enough that we could see what.
We could see that he was shaking something. But
I like how he can't hear us. No, I don't think he could hear. Can he hear us? Are you listening to us?
He's muted. I don't think he has headphones in, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
it's
Cynthia
hard to tell.
Was incredibly impressive on that season. I was blown away by feeling polar opposite of like how I did with her on Big Brother. And Scally and I recapped it over on Free Agents, and I remember saying, like, when she comes up on the wheel, like, what am I going to do? Am I looking at her as I saw another side of her as a player? And maybe I think that there's more that she could do. Plus, she was making social connections there that were doing a lot better for her than anything that we saw here when she was just getting snowed in every aspect of the game. But I do kind of feel like I ultimately have to judge on the Big Brother scale. I don't know. Let me bring him on back in. Amon.
Okay, we'll get him. He's there. He is.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. You're back.
Oh, and you got a mouthful of some kind of snack that.
Whoa.
Y'all, these lemon cream Oreos. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
They're so good.
Sponsor.
Yeah. Why aren't we sponsored by them yet? Anyway. All right. So we do have to talk about Cynthia Bailey, the Big Brother player here. And she's got a matchup against Alex, say again.
I said Dewey. I thought we already did.
Um, in comparison is where we got to go next. I don't want to start. Does anybody have a strong take to start?
I think that in terms of like instincts for the game, I think that you can definitely point to Alex here. I think, you know, he was generally well liked. I think, you know, within the context of the twist, there were a lot of pitfalls there, which is very hard to navigate. I feel like if he had made it past the couples phase of the game, he probably could have gone a little deep. I could have seen that for him. As far as Cynthia is concerned, I think that she's just such a non-factor too much of the season. And a lot of the decision making, and not to say that she was completely like just like she did nothing at all, but it did seem like a lot of the strategic conversations were a little bit more led by Carson. It felt like Carson was sort of like steering the boat a lot more than Cynthia was. And I just don't know how well a person does, you know, the majority of the time when they're like that. And yes, it's celebrity Big Brother, so of course a lot of these people don't really know what they're doing, so I get it. But like, there are still celebrities that come on the show and adapt well and do well. So like, I don't think that Misha really is really a big fan of the show, but she had Todrick, and she didn't even really need Todrick. Yeah, Todrick helped her game out a lot.
Mhm.
Without Todrick, maybe you can make that argument, but she still had a decent mind for the game, and she could clearly back it up with the wins as well. So, you know, not all celebrities are created equal, and I definitely think that Cynthia's on the lesser end of this. So I kind of leaning towards Alex here.
Matt, what are you thinking?
This is tough. It's tough because look, we're talking about Big Brother, but I did just see her and got to get out. And I'll just say she has the strategic mind for it, right? Like, I think one thing that's so tough, and everything that Amon said is valid, but the other thing that's so tough is that when you are playing Celebrity Big Brother, you are playing with celebrities playing Big Brother, meaning that the competition level, the drive, like the stuff that pulls out that fighter's instinct just is not there because half the people don't want to be there, or they don't know where they are, or why they're there, or they're not concerned with winning the game. And so of course, I have to vote for Cynthia because I feel like her potential is greater. Put her in an all stars, and I don't see people taking her out. I feel like she could strategically. There's nothing telling me that she can't strategically step it up, Matt. So I'm gonna have to go with Cynthia instead of with Alex here.
Okay.
What an icon! Yeah, bring her back.
I gotta say, for Cynthia especially, I have recently done the full Real Housewives of Atlanta binge, so I got to see her from a whole new angle, and just see like her real life, see her relationship with her daughter Noelle, just like so many like intriguing things about her and her personality that really made me like appreciate her so much more, which was a low bar coming out of Celebrity Big Brother when she was nothing but frustrating to me. But just like really appreciate her as a character from the show that she comes from, and the things that she's gone on to do. Like, I was excited to see her name pop up on the Gotta Get Out cast, and I was excited to see what an updated version of Cynthia as a competitor could do. And it was a lot more fun on Gotta Get Out than it was in Celebrity Big Brother. But I also can't ignore what I saw on Celebrity Big Brother and the frustrations that she caused. And I totally agree with your points about that it's a different scale, it's celebrities, it's you know, slightly different game, but the instincts of a Big Brother player are still what they should be. And her instincts were just following the wrong person, not following the logical decisions, getting snowed, and then, you know, again, fighting with Todd at the end when she needed Todd more than ever at that point in the game to overcome the power duo of Todrick and Misha. And she's still at that point thinking that Todrick is looking out for her. Her and Misha weren't like tight, but her and Todrick had a good connection, and Todrick continued to snow her into thinking that there was something that could happen between the two of them to get them to the end of the game together, in which case, I mean, she probably beats Todrick in a final two, because I think anybody beats Todrick in a final two, but it's certainly not a deserving winner at that point. Or is every winner deserving? I don't know. You tell me. It's not a fun win. It's not. It doesn't feel like a deserving winner, at least to me in my books. If that had happened. I can't in my good conscience vote Cynthia through to the
Matt,
second
you
round.
can
I
do it.
can't.
You
I
know, just
I
believe in her,
I I have
support
believed
her.
in her as the human being, Cynthia Bailey, on so many other adventures in her life. But this is a bracket about Big Brother gameplay, personality, all that. Well, not personality all the time, but just the Big Brother package of Cynthia Bailey was frustrating and bad, and I can't reward
Yeah,
it. Alex was
I
screwed by a bad partner, a weird twist, and I don't think he's by any means like the best player in Big Brother history, but I think he has better instincts and overall more impressive in his short time than Cynthia was in hers. Um,
I think that's all valid. And I just have to put it out there, like everything that you said is spot on. I had to give Cynthia my sympathy vote.
Understandable.
But I have to say, like, it hurts so much worse because of how we're all just watching along and seeing Todrick just do his thing. Like, if it wasn't Todrick, if it was someone that the fans loved who was just snowing everyone, maybe a slightly different story. Same story for Cynthia, but slightly different story. But no, that was such a painful season. And again, it's wild that, like, to think like we got that and we haven't gotten any Celebrity Big Brother since. So, um, you know,
Matt, we appreciate
congratulations,
so much
Alex
of you
Donato.
coming through here to help us with some Big Brother 9 and Big Brother Celebrity 3 conversation. I don't know.
Yeah.
2 seasons that most people don't look for, but you braved it out and helped us with them.
You know what? I'm happy to help. And it is wild though to think who's still on the wheel, because there are a lot of, like, there are a number of heavy hitters who are still there. I mentioned Ozza, of course, but a number of other heavy hitters, and also others who I never thought I'd hear talked about in 2025. So thanks for doing this.
Let me make it official, Amon. If you're done with your Oreos over there, was it an official vote for Alex? Is Alex going through 2-1? Well, you're muted.
Yes,
Uh-oh.
it was.
All right. So Alex is going to be going through over Cynthia
Lock it in.
Bailey. Lock it in. I appreciate the sympathy vote for Cynthia. Especially in a matchup like this, a 3-0 vote would have seemed a little much. So shout out to Matt's vote there. But what are you going to do? Let's recap what we did today. Just recently, we sent Cynthia Bailey packing in the competition, eliminated in favor of a very early boot from Big Brother 9, but you could say somewhat screwed again by his partner, Alex Coladonato, not Donato, Coladonato, maybe.
Strange.
Yeah, he's going through to the next round. His fellow early boot from Big Brother 9, Jen, is not going through to the next round because she is horrible. But Kale, an early boot-ish from Big Brother 8, is going through, as is Derek X from Big Brother 23, who won in the first round of the day against another celebrity Big Brother 3 contestant. Mirai is not going through. Derek, Kale, Alex, the 3 going through of the day. Matt, did we accomplish something?
We cleaned up a little bit, you know, and I have to say, I enjoyed this. This is fun. The adrenaline's pumping a little bit less now. We touched on BB9. I feel like someone had to. So I'm really pumped to see what's coming up. Like, as mentioned, I'm a loyal listener. I'm a fan of the podcast. It's funny just to hear everyone talked about, including people I don't really remember as much. So yeah, I'm here all the way, at least through the end of the first round, you know, and
that.
probably till like 2029 when you're actually done with
Yeah,
the entire bracket.
we'll see. Amon, can I tell you some numbers here? I'm looking at the episodes since column that I have in my document. It has been 19 episodes since we have talked Big Brother 8. It has been 21 episodes since we talked Big Brother 9, and it has also been 21 episodes since we talked Big Brother Celebrity 3. So
wow, look at us.
Yeah, we got them in. We got them in. So and the celebrity ones go by fast. Like, as soon as you start, it feels like a snowball because there's like not as many people in the cast. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see them pop up a lot more now.
we have to. We're running out of players. Not really. It's halfway. But anyway, Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find you and anything that you are working on?
Yes, just find me, Matt Scott GW, on all platforms. I mean, I always like to plug the Pride Has Spoken and Pod Friends over on RHAP, but I'll also plug the Wrestling Kickback with me and Mari each month talking about pro wrestling over on the Recap Kickback. So subscribe to Recap Kickback, recapkickback.com. And again, Matt Scott GW on the various platforms. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, as of right now, WrestleMania weekend. So
Yeah, right
that's-
now.
to put you in a time and place. I know you're hearing this after the fact, but big weekend for you.
Yeah, it was a great WrestleMania. All the
I'm sure.
people who were champions, everyone who won a championship won. And I'm excited for the road after WrestleMania. What a great, and John Cena, he did the thing too.
I'm sure he
that
did
was-
something there. Yeah.
He did. Yeah, we love that. Right,
Yeah.
Iman? You know?
Yeah.
Big
Well,
fan.
Amon had a WrestleMania of his own, as very recently this season of Drag Race has come to an end. But
Yes.
All Stars right around the corner, probably has started by the time, or is starting very soon at the time that you're hearing this podcast. So all that stuff is happening for Amon.
Yep, Big Brother, Drag Race 17 just ended, but we will be starting All Stars 10 in 3 weeks from now. So, yeah, I thought we were going to get a bit longer of a break, but nope. Nope, just right back into it. And it seems like it's going to be a long one too, because there's 18 queens. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that's indicating that it's going to be like, a double length season, but I don't know. It's going to be some weirdness happening.
I mean, they've called it a tournament, right? I don't know what that.
The rumor is that there's not going to be any eliminations for quite some time, and then they're just going to get rid of like half the cast.
Damn.
Go down to like 9 people.
Sure. Yeah. Season 10 experiment. I don't know. I'll judge later and watch first on this one. All right. Well, make sure you guys are checking out the Drag Race podcast for Amon's takes over there. And of course, find both of us on our social medias. The links are always in the episode descriptions. Find us on Patreon, patreon.com/The Diary Room, if you want all the bonus content that goes along with the podcast here for the losers bracket, with some of these losers that will be heavily in contention to be the ultimate loser at some point. We do the battle back votes along the way, so somebody will also re-enter the competition, and so much more. Amon, anything else? You want to make a real solid pitch for people to leave us ratings and reviews and comments?
Yes, leave us ratings, reviews, and comments.
There we go.
We've been chugging along, and we are, we've still got quite some ways to go. So all of the support is very much appreciated. Make sure that you get your voices heard, because I'm like, quite a few of you have thus far, but I gotta keep reminding y'all, it's going to start getting real contentious up in here. So if you would like to have your voice heard, or like to have a bit of a say in what goes on in this bracket, become a patron, because that's really the only way to do it.
Or get on the podcast somehow. But still leave the 5 stars and become a patron. I'm not trying to take money out of your pocket. Yeah, become a patron.
And patrons, we do patron episodes, so that is another way to get on the show. So it's
a good reminder. Next month, after this episode, we had back-to-back Matt weeks, and that's going to be followed up by, I believe, the entire month of May will be 4 episodes, all with only patron guests. So we're going to do the patron episodes we've done so far. You've seen the format. We have 3 different patrons join us. So those are already like locked and booked, and for the most part there. So I don't want anybody like signing up thinking that like one of those spots necessarily is open, because it's still not an official perk, but we've been contacting a lot of patrons to join us on the episode. So for the entire month of May is the current plan that we're going to be talking to some patrons and bouncing all around, maybe some seasons that we haven't talked about in a while, who knows, but that is the plan. Again, Matt, thank you so much for joining us here today. That's going to do it for now. Check out the Free Agents podcast if you're looking for more of me talking to Brian Scally, rewatching some very old seasons of the challenge. That's what I'm up to there. But otherwise, Amon, take us home, please.
Thanks again to Matt Scott for joining us on today's episode of The Diary Room. And until next time, guys, please go to the Diary Room.